while Lan Qiren's gaze was averted. Wei Wuxian stretched his neck to look around. The girls were scribbling furiously, already used up more than half of their white paper stack. Wei Wuxian exclaimed, "Wow!" and tried to sneak a peek with a mischievous grin. The girl next to him quickly shielded her paper and glared at him fiercely. Lan Qiren's brow furrowed deeply. He coughed once and walked imposingly to the seats, giving special attention to the suspicious table, pacing slowly around it. Wei Wuxian felt Lan Qiren's hot breath on the back of his neck for a while and behaved himself for a moment. Wei Wuxian scratched his head for a moment, but the paper in front of him remained blank. Unable to endure it any longer, he raised his hand to ask a question. Lan Qiren chose to ignore him entirely. Wei Wuxian waved his arm so energetically that it became a blur. But still, no one paid him any attention. He then directly asked, "Sir, how many words do we have to write at the minimum?" Lan Qiren's mouth twitched, and with great difficulty, he squeezed out the words, "There is no minimum word count." Wei Wuxian responded cheerfully. After focusing for a moment, he picked up his brush and scribbled furiously, writing a single character. He then stepped forward to submit his paper. Inside and outside the orchid room. The swishing sound of writing came to an abrupt halt, both surprised and shocked. All eyes turned to the person who submitted his paper within the span of a single incense stick, unsure if it was out of arrogance or confidence. Lan Qiren's face turned pale and green as he hurried over to check the paper. True to form, Wei Wuxian had indeed written only one character, and that single character occupied an entire page. The surrounding students watched as Lan Qiren's face changed from ashen to bright red, then from bright red to a livid purple, and finally to the congested liver color of someone whose blood flow had been blocked. Seeing that he was on the verge of ascending to heaven prematurely, they trembled with fear and couldn't resist sneaking a glance. On that paper, there was a single big character, excessive. Lan Qiren's beard trembled as if it was going to take flight, and his chest heaved slightly. Wei Wuxian, staring at the few scrolls on the table, braced himself for what was to come. However, nothing was thrown to him. Instead, Lan Qiren, clearly suppressing his anger, asked, "What is the meaning of this character?" When Wei Wuxian saw that he was given a chance to explain, he began to speak endlessly. "Sir, for example, if a person loves too deeply, it is called excessive. If someone reads too much and becomes a bookworm, it is also called excessive. When a clan established rules, there must be a balance. If the balance is lacking, things become chaotic. If it is excessive, it becomes restrictive and inflexible. The Gusulan clan has more than 3,000 rules, which is clearly excessive. Therefore, it is excessive and unaware of it. This is truly the worst way." "Nonsense!" The scroll next to Lan Qiren couldn't stay any longer and flew straight towards Wei Wuxian's head. Wei Wuxian quickly dodged and continued to spout nonsense. 3,000 clan rules, most of them beginning with "do not," regardless of the matter's size. Everything has restrictions. It's truly bizarre. The very person who established these rules must have had many internal conflicts and difficulties in his actions, thus assuming that the clan's disciples must operate within endless restrictions to act properly. A true gentleman should be carefree and unrestrained, with no place unreachable. Why should there be so many prohibitions? The Great Way is very simple. So where is the dust coming from? The person who set these rules must be constantly troubled, with an unclear mind and impure intentions. Lan Qiren shouted, "Wei Ying!" Wei Wuxian obediently stopped and responded. "Yes!" Lan Qiren commanded. "Get out!" "Yes, sir!" Wei Wuxian then left as instructed. that very day. Lan Qiren heavily wrote his name at the very bottom of the list. Wei Wuxian caused quite a ruckus in the examination hall, thoroughly offending Lan Qiren. As soon as he returned, he was scolded by Jiang Fengmian, who pointed at his nose while doing so. Reluctantly kneeling on the ground, Wei Wuxian muttered, "But I was making a lot of sense. A gentleman should be carefree and unrestrained, with no place unreachable. Uncle Jiang, you've said this before too." Jiang Fengmian paused because he had indeed said those words. Wei Wuxian not only remembered them, but had also reflected upon and understood them deeply. Even after just one day within the Jiang clan of Yunmeng and the Lan clan of Gusu, he had gained insights into the differences between the two clans' customs. This spontaneous expression of his thoughts was something Jiang Fengmian actually agreed with. Jiang Fengmian sighed, looking at Wei Wuxian with an involuntary tenderness and affection, making it hard for him to continue his reprimand. Jiang Cheng, munching on melon seeds and enjoying the spectacle from the side, saw that his father couldn't continue speaking. He assumed Jiang Fengmian was choked with anger by Wei Wuxian and snorted without looking up. "Nonsense. You deserve this. Whether it makes sense or not is one thing. But could you say such things in front of Mr. Lan? And you caused all people in Yunshan to know about your unique insights. Think about how many people you've offended?" Wei Wuxian dismissed it, saying, "They're all old-fashioned and rigid. Anyway, I'm not going to marry them, so who cares if I offend them?" Jiang Cheng threw a melon seed at him and said, "It's a small matter if you offend people. I don't care if Lan Qiren hangs you up and beats you, or if Lan Wangji chases you out. You're disgracing the Yunmeng Jiang clan if you say things like that. What will the Gusu Lan clan think? They'll assume it's our family's viewpoint and attitude. Not only will you offend people, but you'll make it seem like our whole clan is offending them. What am I supposed to do? I have to meet with the two young ladies of the Lan clan. How am I supposed to talk to them or handle things if you put me in such a difficult position? If my plans are ruined because of this, I'll be the first to beat you to death." Jiang Cheng's words made some sense. Wei Wuxian, when expressing his opinion in the examining hall, felt satisfied but hadn't given much thought to the fact that, while outside, his every action represented the Yunmeng Jiang clan. What he said purely expressed his personal views, spoken in youthful innocence, but others wouldn't see it that way. There's no telling if someone with ulterior motives might hear these words, make a big deal out of them, and try to sow discord between the Lan clan and the Jiang clan, which would be a consequence beyond his control. He thought this way in his heart, but being young and proud, he couldn't let Jiang Cheng have the last word. Reluctant to admit his fault, he muttered defiantly, "Well, that's true. But if the dignified Gusu Lan clan holds a grudge against our family over this, then their magnanimity is quite lacking. As for Lan Wangji, isn't he supposed to be exceptionally talented and a model disciple? If he can't even tolerate others pointing out his family's flaws, then who would want to marry him? I wouldn't take him even if he was given to me for free." Jiang Cheng sneered. "Given to you for free? Do you have any shame? Who said he even likes you? Is he chasing after you, refusing to marry anyone else but you? Go find a mirror and take a good look at yourself. You're making me sick." Hearing this, Wei Wuxian drew his sword, Swibian, and its gleaming blade reflected a handsome face. He winked at his own reflection and chuckled. "Not only do I have a face, but this face is exceptionally good-looking." Jiang Cheng clutched his chest and dramatically pretended to retch, which prompted Wei Wuxian to flick his sword at him. The two started chasing each other, sparring playfully. Jiang Fengmian, sitting in the middle, shook his head with a smile and quickly grabbed hold of each of them to stop the fight. Wei Wuxian wasn't inherently rebellious. He just had a playful nature typical of a young person. That day, feeling pressured by the situation, he impulsively blurted out whatever came to mind without a second thought. Reflecting on it afterward, he realized he'd been somewhat reckless and decided to make up for it by impressing Lan Qiren in the future. On the first day, they were tested on the Lan clan rules. The next day, during the morning lesson, Lan Qiren seized the opportunity to teach the history of the Lan clan, while Lan Wangji was meeting the girls one by one according to the list. Lan Qiren took the chance to promote his clan's distinguished traditions and virtues. This course was optional, allowing everyone to choose whether to attend. However, the girls who aspired to marry into the Lan clan not only attended without exception but also fought fiercely for the front row seats. By the time Wei Wuxian strolled in leisurely, munching on half a steamed bun, the orchid room was already packed wall to wall with people, leaving no space inside for him. He ended up being driven to an outside spot, determined to make a good impression. Wei Wuxian had spent the previous night studying with the same fervor he used for examinations, staying up all night to read How to Marry into the Lan Clan several times. He repeatedly memorized the key points, confident that he would impress Lan Qiren thoroughly the next day. Unfortunately, Wei Wuxian wasn't the only one with such thoughts. Whenever Lan Qiren posed a question, countless elegant arms adorned with flowy ribbons would shoot up from the audience, no matter whom he called on. Each girl would gracefully bow, answer fluently, and display impeccable manners with charming smiles, absolutely flawless. Lan Qiren had never received such admiration during morning lessons before, and although he maintained a strict and serious expression on his face, his goatee was visibly uplifted, indicating his evident satisfaction with these prospective nieces-in-law.